It's been a long time. I don't even remember the last time I did it. Hi painting pals! Welcome back to me and these minis. And as you know from the thumbnail, today we are doing vampire. So dead flesh. Fun fact, I have not painted dead flesh in a long time. It's been a long time. I don't even remember the last time I did it. So we're going to be making this up as I go. So we're going to have extra fun. I did get started with Pro Acryl's Payne's Gray for her skin tone for the shadow color. And now I am going to go and layer it up. And I have added green brown from AK Interactives, and this is a 50-50 mix that I'm going to be doing, that I'm starting with. Let's go ahead and see how this looks. Now, one of the cool things about dead skin, a lot of people think that you can just go real pale, and yeah, that's part of it. But you can get so much more interesting with colors. Hence the Payne's Gray. That has a blue in it. It's very gray, but it's a very bluish gray, I'm sure you can see here. And then now I'm going up into greens. Anyone who's seen my Beating Up Your Minis video will know that I love gore. I actually have a dark side, as one of you put it. I do like doing the beauty paintings that I have been doing, where, you know, the mini is very pretty and nice looking, but sometimes you just got to do some gore. So that's what we're going to do today. And this is a cool model that I found from the Mammoth Factory Games. This is from their welcome kit, their monthly subscription for 3D printing. As you can see, this is the green brown, just adds that little bit of green and brown. And she actually is supposed to be some kind of a sea hag. So we can see the ribs here are like supposed to be some kind of gills, and she had fins that I cut off because I don't want a sea hag, I want a vampire. Okay, as you can see, we've now gone from that bluish gray to green. So there is still some blue undertone in those deepest recesses, but we are getting there. One of the other things is going to be that because we are doing a very deathly dead look, there's going to be quite a bit of color jump. And also because we are doing pale, you know, I mean, it doesn't look anywhere near pale now, but it will. That means that even the shadows are going to be a little bit bright, but we're still going to have shadows, which is why we're still layering up and starting dark. Now I am going to start taking her into skin tones. So I'm just going to start with green brown. So it's kind of a little green brown, kind of a little going to be a sickly skin tone, but we are going to start heading into that direction. Now, one of the reasons why we want to start with such fun sickly colors is because, as you all know, paint is translucent, and so we'll still be seeing some of that undercolor coming through the different layers. And as you can see, that's going to give it a little bit more of a unique look and just a little different. Here she is, looking incredibly gross. I absolutely love it. You can see we've kind of got that green base. Now we're going to be moving on to more mid-tones. For all of you wondering why you would put this much effort in, well, you're not going to get that gross color out of a bottle. It kind of has to be layered up. Now I have added decomposed flesh from AK into the green brown, and I've just got to mix. And we're just going to add a bit more and start getting her up into those lighter, paler colors. Now these layers are going to go a lot faster because we're leaving so much of the shadow behind. And I'm just going to come in here. And keep going with this. And then, because watching somebody layer up paint is not a whole lot of fun, I'm sure you can all guess what the next color is going to be. I am just working my way up to being able to put decomposed flesh directly on her without it being too stark. So that's why we're layering. Because if I were to just jump into straight up decomposed flesh here, it would be too bright of a contrast and very difficult to blend. So I'm going to actually jump ahead. I hope that's not going to throw you off too much. And I'm going to get the 50-50 mix layer on. And then I'm going to go straight to the decomposed flesh layer as well. So I'm going to do 2 steps here in between without you guys watching. If you don't like that format, if you'd rather see the full thing, let me know in the comments below. All right, so here she is starting to look pale. And this is one of the problems that you have with making up your recipe as you go. She is just not pale enough for me. She's still looking pretty fleshy. What I did next, I'm gonna do actually more of a mid-tone, so I'm going to kind of cover that up a little bit more with a 50-50 mix of decomposed flesh and greenish white, both AK interactives. And this should just pull it down a little bit more because we're still a bit fleshy, you know? I mean, she's actually looking pretty much darker than I am. Yeah, we're going to come in and just lighten this up a little bit more before we move on to the next steps. You know, the highlighting. There we go. Now, one of the things I want you to notice when I'm picking my colors for Undead flesh is none of them are really warm. We started with a bluish gray, went into a greenish brown. So we're pretty much trying to stay with cool tones because warmth is what gives us life. And we're trying to take the life out of her. So now we're taking the life out of her. Much better. Got her all nice and pale. And I am going to start on the highlights, and I am going to use the greenish white, and that should give us some nice highlights that look wonderfully sickly. Alright, and then we get to try the fun stuff. Which, if any of you have watched my videos before, you're gonna know that's the glazing. So we're gonna glaze to blend, and we're gonna glaze to add some additional colors in that are really going to help make this look nicely gross. All of that just adds more wonderful interest, visual confusion that just makes everything look great. And that's why you don't want to shortcut this. You don't want to just jump colors too high, too far. You don't want to skip some of the great underpainting we have going on with the blue and greens. Because that's just all going to add so much to the final result. I'm glazing some of this back down so that we get a better blend here. So that's looking pretty good. I'm going to go a little higher in a couple areas by doing another coat. Yeah, mostly just up there on the face. A little bit over here where her ribs are sticking out. Now we're going to have a little bit of fun. Normally, this is where I would glaze in some red to make the skin feel alive with the blood underneath. But she doesn't have blood because she is a vampire and she's drinking blood. But her heart's not beating, so blood's not circulating. So I'm going to use a little bruised purple. And I gotta imagine that when skin is decomposing, you're going to see a little bit of purple bruising, for one thing. And for another thing, blood tends to pool in different spots under the skin. So I'm going to use this purple. Again, we're still kind of staying away from anything very warm. And I'm just going to try and find a few spots to put just a little bit of this in, which is going to make it read a little bit more wrong, if that makes sense. So, because it's not quite blood, it's not going to read as blood, but it's going to give us that hint of it. That's going to tell us that something here is off. And by keeping it just that very, very little bit, we're going to feel that sense of lack of blood a little bit stronger. And by adding a little bit more color in, we're going to make the skin a little bit more interesting. Because the more you can add, the more interesting the results. Alright, so there you get a sense of exactly what's going on. I'm going to go ahead and keep having fun with this and paint up the rest of her so that you guys get a nice, beautiful thumbnail to look at and entice you to click on it. Hopefully that worked. I would also like to give a very special shout out to our patrons. I really appreciate all the support that we get from you, and I love the community that we're building. I hope that if you're not part of it, you'll consider subscribing, liking. You can check out our Patreon, also on Facebook, Instagram, so you can find us all over. And I hope you'll join us so that we can all kind of improve and have fun on these painting journeys together. Thank you again, and until next time, have fun and keep creating.